AEW founder and president Tony Khan has spoken at length about the future of AEW and their media rights deal, including why AEW pay-per-views could be going to a streaming service very soon. He also, in that same conversation, took a bit of a shot at Eric Bischoff. Well, a bit is being very nice. He took a big shot at Eric Bischoff. We're going to talk about all of that, hear what Tony Khan had to say. We're also going to talk about growing frustrations backstage in WWE. What's got many sources in WWE hot, according to FightfulSelect.com. All that much more coming up right here in this video. If you haven't already done so, be sure to smash that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. All right, let's first talk about the latest on AEW's TV deal. There have been ongoing discussions between Warner Brothers Discovery and AEW. Tony Khan spoke about this earlier this week in a media call, and he claims that the sides are, pretty good as far as where they feel like they are, and he expects a deal to be done. Now, that being said, we kind of understand that right now, one of the big hangups in that deal would likely be the pay-per-views, and we don't know where those would go. Well, Tony Khan actually expanded on that in a recent interview with Wrestling Observer with Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez. Here's what Khan had to say, quote, "I think Venue Sports, which is going to be this big merger between Fox, Disney, and Warner Bros. Discovery, like kind of combining their sports streaming services, says I think Venue could be something we could be a part of, and it's a really interesting conversation. That's a whole new conversation, and that's a new world. There's a lot of really interesting and exciting things, but what's really cool is I don't think that Warner Brothers has had such a hands-on boss who has overseen a studio like this since Ted Turner was here in TNT and TBS, like we have with David Zaslav. There is a supreme commander at the top of Warner Brothers Discovery, and he loves AEW, and I have a great relationship with him, and I think it's going to go a long way towards really keeping something that is very important to me alive, which is wrestling on TBS, TNT. When we brought it back, I always said that this is an American institution. There should be wrestling on these channels. AEW president and founder Tony Khan talking about his latest thoughts on a TV deal. This is the first we've heard him kind of mention, Venue Sports, which is, again, this like big kind of merging of sports streaming platforms. And I think that the ideal situation is that no matter what, Max would be, I think, the ideal situation for, you would think, everyone involved. One of the issues with Max is that they don't have a built-in live streaming service, and I know many people are going to be like, well, why don't they just build it? They have all of these resources, all of this money. They have like another streaming service, with Bleacher Report, where they have like at least some of the infrastructure built out. We know how that has gone in the past. But the reality is, really building that out for Max would take a lot of time, and that is something that has really been, they've tried it. They've tried it with the NBA. It's kind of happened on a few occasions. They've done it with like CNN, I believe, as well. But at the same time, producing live TV exclusive for, live pay-per-views exclusive for Max, like that could be something that I feel like Warner Brothers thinks they could do on this other streaming platform, because at the end of the day, like the entire reason you want to have or you want to merge streaming platforms with other competitors is because you know that if you do it yourself, you are not going to be viable. So the infrastructure, especially for a sports streaming platform, is already going to be built out. I think it would be probably wise for Warner Brothers to put AEW in there, and that's also because at this moment in time, Warner Brothers Discovery just lost their biggest property. They lost the NBA. If rumors and actually not even rumors, if everything in logic is to be believed, like Round Ball Rock is coming back, the announcement's going to happen any day now officially. But when you lose your biggest, sports partner and you're about to help launch like this potentially like game-changing sports streaming service, you need as many properties on board as it takes in order to add the most value you can from a business standpoint to that streaming platform. And you can argue whether or not professional wrestling is a sport, but it certainly has a sports-like feel. It certainly has a sports-like presentation, and it certainly, as far as the way people view it and then the way that viewing habits have evolved around pro wrestling, it certainly has the viewing habits from the fans as a sport. Live TV is king. That is why you don't see WWE recording like 4 Raws in one setting. No, you don't see AEW doing that. They know and understand that, being there live and having that live TV aspect is important because it adds that element of you have to watch it when it's on. And that is what they want. That is what these streaming services want. And I think that the pay-per-views, at least going over there, and then maybe Max having AEW Dynamite on a weekly basis could be something we could see, but I don't know. It is an interesting aspect of these negotiations that needs to play out. The overall though, the deadline for Warner Brothers and AEW to come to a deal is very, very fast approaching. So this has got to come to a head. I personally do not see them leaving Warner Brothers Discovery at this point. I think that it's essentially just a matter of like coming to terms on an agreement. I mean, I don't think you'll see anything signed pretty soon, but I think an agreement will be reached fairly soon, as it's speculated that within a few weeks that exclusivity window that Warner Brothers and AEW have to negotiate is going to expire, which would then allow AEW to seek other partners. But again, I don't think it's going to get that far, but we will see. But in that same interview that Tony Khan did with Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez, they were talking about AEW Forbidden Door, and one of the criticisms, that many critics, that's what I'm trying to say. One of the criticisms many critics have had about AEW is, their inability to draw fans. And while there definitely and certainly is a lot of truth to that on a weekly basis as far as drawing fans out for TV, the reality is for pay-per-views, AEW is doing extremely well. You look at just the past few pay-per-views they've done. You go to Double or Nothing. The gate was down for that one, I grant you, but overall they had somewhere in the ballpark of like 8,000 fans, 9,000 fans, I think, according to the WrestleTix estimate. Before that, I was there for AEW Dynasty. They had around 7,000 fans in the building for that. They had one of their biggest shows ever at AEW Revolution, over 16,000 in the Greensboro Coliseum. Before that, at World's End, it was 10,000. So a lot. So I think when it comes to AEW pay-per-views, what I'm trying to say is they're going to draw a good crowd. And even Forbidden Door today, as of this recording, Forbidden Door today has 10,000 people signed up, ready to go with their tickets, and are going to be in the building. And if, speculation and reports are to be believed, they are having another $1 million gate, which would be the third $1 million gate that Forbidden Door has done 3 years in a row. This is one of AEW's most successful pay-per-views. People have still criticized it. Well, AEW President CEO Tony Khan kind of fought back against that criticism, and here's what he had to say specifically about former WCW president Eric Bischoff. Let's take a quick listen. If I can pull this up. We're doing it live, pal.
It's not lost on me being in New York what we've done, because a lot of my competitors never did anything like that. Yeah. When did Eric Bischoff ever come in New York and do a $1 million gate?
They never did a $1 million.
They never did a $1 million gate, but anywhere, let alone in New York City. Ever. That's true. It's not lost on me being.
There we go. All right. So, obviously, I am not in my regular studio, so apologies if that was silent. But basically, Tony Khan said, when was the last time Eric Bischoff ever did a $1 million gate in New York, let alone anywhere? And then Dave and Brian pulled out the facts that the WCW never ever did a $1 million gate. And the fact of the matter is, AEW is the only wrestling company outside of WWE that has been able to achieve that at this scale. That is a massive deal. there are many criticisms that you can levy against AEW and their booking. There, you can honestly say that AEW is trash from a booking standpoint, from a story standpoint, because much of that is subjective. And it's okay to not like something. And I'm never going to be the one to tell you that you have to like this because of X reason. No, if you don't like something, you don't like it. At the same time, there is this weird conflation of the idea of like, because I don't like something means that it is either not resonating with others or it is not successful. Fact of the matter is AEW is a successful company. They are in an industry where it is nearly impossible to go up against the monopoly. That is what WWE is. The near monopoly, the market domination and the market share that WWE has over professional wrestling is insane. And it is still crazy to me that there have been more antitrust investigations against WWE and in that nature, but that's a whole separate video, whole separate conversation. Fact of the matter is, though, that AEW has been able to be a very successful company, been able to have multiple weekly television shows, have them be some of the highest rated shows, Dynamite at least a top 3 show most weeks. That is an insane feat to have. And they're about to get a TV deal that will likely have them profitable by the end of it. They are in an insane position considering all of the cards that were held against them. And again, if you don't like the product, whole different conversation. No one's asking you to like the product. But if you're analyzing it from a serious and good faith standpoint, you cannot ignore the success of AEW. That is just the truth. And again, there are going to be many people who say, oh, they got 1,000 people or whatever for Collision in like a month. That is another aspect of the company that we can look and analyze in good faith. But to say that just because of that, overall, it's a failure, that's just, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm sorry. You just do not. And it's okay. Like, look, people are going to say stuff on the internet to try to get other people riled up. That's just the whole point of the internet, right? But it is what it is. We'll see what happens. I am, again, of course, going to Forbidden Door, which probably has happened by the time a lot of you are watching this. But, let me know what match you enjoyed most from Forbidden Door as we move on to our next and final topic. Let's talk about WWE, more specifically talent in sources in WWE that are frustrated. So there is some growing frustrations within WWE, according to FightfulSelect.com. Here is a quote from a FightfulSelect.com story saying, quote, "There was frustration by several WWE sources we spoke to over the heavy censorship and editing on SmackDown. One longtime WWE talent who wasn't on SmackDown saw our tweet regarding being excited for SmackDown to move back to USA and said, quote, it's a chore to watch sometimes. I understand censoring F the Pacers, but it feels like every segment is edited and it makes us look like it's our production." This was of course in reaction to a lot of censorship at the latest show at Madison Square Garden. Now, I did not watch the show on TV. I was there live in MSG. So for me, nothing was censored. I was actually part of the problem, if we want to go there, in some of those chants. But there was a conversation, obviously, that happened after the show amongst many wrestling fans about that. And there seemed to be even picked up, according to this FightfulSelect.com report, it is a tricky situation, right? Because at the end of the day, Fox is a network show. Like, they are on network television, meaning the standards and practices are a lot stricter on them than they would be on cable. On cable, you really can say almost anything you want. The network kind of sets its own like standards and practices, but like for network television, you are largely you are restricted in some of the things you can say, as far as, especially when it comes to like cursing and the rating of what you can and can't say at a certain time. So that's why you have seen the F word, the S word, all those words kind of bleeped out. Like The Rock will do a promo on SmackDown and
you'll hear just like nothing, and sometimes they'll even do the black screen that they were talking about. Like the black screen is like the most annoying thing. If the crowd is chanting "Holy yes," and then we get a black screen just so like people don't make out the fact that they're chanting like shit. Like, come on now, like what are we doing here? Yeah, and obviously like censorship in that respect is like not a perfect art because sometimes they censor the wrong thing, and it's just it takes away from the show. And I am very sympathetic to that frustration, and I think that is in probably a good reason why they're moving to USA. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, look, USA, they are still gonna put like some restrictions on them, but I don't think you're gonna hear the holy shit chants bleeped out. I don't even think you're gonna hear many, if any, wrestling chants bleeped out. You will definitely hear like promos maybe bleeped out or cut out. But even then, I don't think it's going to be. It's not even going to be anywhere close to the degree we're getting on Fox right now. Because what we're getting on Fox right now is kind of ridiculous when you really think about it. But that is the nature of the deal they have with Fox. That's the nature of being on Fox. You have certain things you can and can't say. Does it take away from the show? Absolutely, absolutely. I promise you. I enjoyed that show way more being in the building, hearing what everyone had to say, feeling the atmosphere, than I would have basically just having like half of these segments like cut out and bleeped out. And again, understand why people are frustrated, but this is part of this new era that WWE is going into with these new TV deals. Triple H just talked about being uncensored basically on Netflix. I think Raw is going to be a lot more in the spirit of the name of the show, Raw, and uncensored. And I think SmackDown will be too. I think we are entering not like a ruthless aggression resurgence or an attitude era resurgence in that respect, but I think we are going to get a more realistic and gritty product as far as WWE goes in 2025 when these new TV deals kick into effect. But we'll see what happens, guys. I know that you all have thoughts about this. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. If you haven't already done so, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Until next time, be happy, be healthy, and as always, keep it real.